If Grace had not died 3 weeks earlier, I never would have been standing at that window, staring at my best friend's mom by the infinity pool, wondering what was happening to me. I was not supposed to be at Tyler's house that weekend. After the accident on Highway 9, I had been living in my apartment like a shadow. I went to work because I had to. I came home and sat in the dark because I did not know what else to do. People called. People texted. I ignored all of them. Except Tyler. He called 15 times in one day before I finally picked up. "Pack a bag," he said. "You're staying at my parents' place for a few days." No arguments. "I'm fine," I lied. "You're not," he said. "I'm coming to get you if you don't drive yourself." I did not have the energy to fight him, so I threw some clothes into a duffel bag, grabbed my keys, and drove 2 hours into the hills outside the city. The estate looked like something from a movie. White stone walls. Tall glass windows. A long driveway lined with trees that made you feel like you were entering a different world. I sat in my car for a full minute before I got out. Part of me wanted to turn around and go home, back to my empty apartment and my quiet grief. Tyler came out of the front door and pulled me into a hug before I could change my mind. He held on longer than usual. "I'm glad you came, man," he said. "Seriously?" I shrugged. "You wore me down." "Good. Come on. Mom's here. Dad moved out 2 years ago, so it's just her and the staff now. She's cool. You'll like her." I nodded, but I did not really care. I was not there to meet anyone. I just planned to stare at different walls in a different house. Tyler led me through the foyer and up a wide staircase to a guest room. The bed looked softer than anything I owned. There was a big window that took up almost the whole back wall, looking out over the property. That was when I saw her. Down by the infinity pool, a woman stood right at the edge where the water met the sky. She wore a white swimsuit that caught the afternoon sun. Everything around her looked soft and golden. The hills in the distance. The glassy surface of the pool. Her skin. She was not posing, she was not taking selfies or scrolling on her phone. She just stood there with her arms at her sides, staring out at the valley below like the world had gone quiet just for her. I did not mean to stare. I really did not. But something about the way she stood there held me in place. There was a kind of calm in her posture, and at the same time, something broken. I recognized that broken part because it was inside me too. Then she turned her head and saw me. Our eyes met across the lawn and the pool deck. I knew I should look away. Act like I was just admiring the view, the hills, the sky, anything else. But I could not make myself move. I just stood there, caught. She held my gaze for a second, then started walking toward the house. My chest tightened. Great. I had been here 10 minutes and already made a fool of myself in front of my best friend's mom. I heard footsteps in the hallway. A knock on my door. "Come in," I said, trying to sound normal. The door opened, and there she was. Up close, she was even more striking. Early 40s, maybe. Sharp eyes, the same color as Tyler's but far more intense. Short hair that framed her face in a way that looked bold, like she had made a choice to stop caring what anyone thought of her. A towel was wrapped around her waist, but she stood there like she owned the room, the house, the air. "Try not to stare," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was a challenge in it. She was not flirting, she was testing me. I could have apologized. I could have mumbled something about the view or the pool or the sunset. Instead, the only honest thing came out. "It's kind of impossible right now," I said. She blinked, surprised. Then her lips curved into a real smile, not the polite kind you give guests, but something softer and warmer. "Maybe that's the point," she said quietly. She stepped into the room and held out her hand. "I'm Doris," she said, "Tyler's mom." I shook her hand. Her grip was firm and warm. "I'm Ethan," I said. "Sorry. That was inappropriate." "Was it honest?" she asked. "Yes." "Then don't apologize." Quote, she leaned against the doorframe like she had all the time in the world. For a moment, she just studied me, not in a rude way, more like she was reading the parts of me I thought I had hidden. "Tyler said you lost someone," she said. "I'm sorry." Just like that, My throat closed. I could talk about traffic, I could talk about work, I could not talk about Grace. Not yet. I nodded instead. Grief is strange, Doris went on. It makes you feel invisible. Like you're behind glass, watching life happen to everyone else while you stay stuck. She held my gaze. But you're not invisible, she said. I see you. Those 4 words hit me harder than anything anyone had said in 3 weeks. People had said they were sorry. They had said time heals all wounds. They had said everything happens for a reason. All of it had bounced off me like rain on a window. I see you. Thank you, I managed. She nodded once, like that was enough, then pushed off the doorframe. You should rest, she said. There's food in the kitchen whenever you want it. Tyler will show you around later. Quote. She left the room, and the air felt different after she was gone. That night, Tyler got pulled into some emergency work call that went on for 2 hours. I wandered the house until I ended up on the terrace with a glass of whiskey I found in the study. The sun was setting, turning the sky orange and purple. The infinity pool glowed blue in the fading light. The valley below slowly disappeared into shadows. I heard the terrace door slide open behind me. Doris stepped out with a glass of red wine. She had changed into loose linen pants and a soft shirt. Her hair was damp from a shower. She saw me and hesitated, like she was deciding if she should stay or go back inside. I lifted my glass a little in her direction, not a full toast. Just a silent, "Hi." She held still for 3 long seconds. Then she lifted her own glass back and walked to the opposite end of the terrace, about 20 feet away. She leaned on the railing and looked out at the view. We stood there in silence while the sky darkened, and the first stars came out. There was something strangely comfortable about it. No small talk, no fake cheer, just 2 people who understood that sometimes silence is all you have to give. After a while, she set her empty glass on the railing. "Good night," she said. "Good night." She went inside. I stayed out there until the air turned cold and my whiskey glass was empty. The next morning at breakfast, Tyler's phone rang. Some crisis at his tech startup. His face tightened as he listened. "I have to drive back to the city," he said, standing up. "Investors, meetings. I'll be back tomorrow, maybe the day after. Stay as long as you want. Mom won't mind." Before I could argue, he grabbed his keys and left. The house felt too big and too quiet. I poured myself a mug of coffee and walked down to the pool. The water was perfectly still, reflecting the clear sky. I dropped into a lounge chair and stared at nothing. That had become my main activity since Grace died. "Tyler abandoned you already?" I turned. Doris was walking down from the house with her own coffee. She wore a simple sundress. Sunglasses were pushed up on her head. "Work emergency," I said. "He told me to stay." "Of course you can stay," she said, taking the chair next to mine. "Do you want company, or would you rather be alone?" The honest answer surprised me. "Company is fine," I said. We sat in silence for a few minutes, listening to the soft sound of water moving against the edge of the pool. "Tyler told me about your girlfriend," she said finally. "He did not give me details. You don't have to talk about it, but I'm here if you want to." I stared at the water. My chest felt tight. "Her name was Grace," I said. "Car accident. 3 weeks ago, a truck ran a red light. She was going to the grocery store. I was supposed to go with her, but I was tired from work and said I would go later, so she went alone." My voice sounded flat and far away, like I was telling a story that belonged to someone else. "And now you think it is your fault," Doris said softly. I swallowed. "I know it is not logical, but yes." She was quiet for a moment. "My ex-husband left me 2 years ago," she said. 15-year marriage. He met someone younger at his office and walked away. Quote, "I looked over at her. 'I am sorry,' I said. 'He told me I was boring,' she said. 'Said I was not the woman he married. Said he needed someone who made him feel alive.'" She smiled, but it was sad. "For 2 years I believed him," she said. "I stopped wearing anything that made me feel pretty. I stopped going out. I stopped looking in mirrors because all I saw was what he said." She turned her face toward the pool. Yesterday, standing out here in that swimsuit, was the first time in 2 years I tried to feel like myself again, she said. I was terrified. And then I saw you watching. I really am sorry about that, I said. Don't be, she said. You know what I noticed when you said it was impossible not to stare? What? You were not trying to take anything, she said. You were just seeing me. The real me. That has not happened in a long time. The air between us felt different now, not just grief, not just sadness. Something else, something alive. Why are you being kind to me? She asked suddenly. You don't know me. Because someone should be, I said, and because I know what it feels like when everything falls apart. She reached over and squeezed my hand once, quick and gentle, then let go. I'm making lunch, she said, standing. Come inside when you're ready. I watched her walk back toward the house. For the first time since the night of the accident, the emptiness inside me shifted. It was not happiness. Not yet. But it was something. If she had not asked me one small question over lunch, maybe everything between us would have stayed simple. Safe. Maybe. Doris made sandwiches and took them out to the terrace, under a big white umbrella that moved a little in the warm breeze. The table was already set when I came out. She had put a glass of water in front of my chair, a small bowl of chips, napkins folded neat. You came, she said. You did say there was food, I answered. She smiled, and it reached her eyes this time. We ate in easy silence for a while. The kind of silence where you do not feel pressure to fill the air. She asked small questions. What do you do for work? How long have you known Tyler? Where did you grow up? Normal things that felt strange because I had not talked about normal life since Grace died. I am an architect, I said. We were working on a big project when everything happened. I have not gone back to it. Do you miss it? She asked. I thought about that. I miss caring about it, I said. Right now it feels like something that belonged to a different person. She watched me for a moment, then nodded like she understood. I used to be an event planner, she said. Before this house. Before Richard's schedule became my full-time job. I was good at it. I liked it. Then I blinked, and one day I was just this extra piece in his life, the wife who made things look pretty in the background. You do not seem like a background person, I said. Her mouth lifted in a soft, surprised smile. Come on, she said, standing. I want to show you something. We walked the property together. The estate was bigger than I realized. There were flower beds and hedges and narrow stone paths that twisted between old oak trees. She moved like she knew every inch of it, which she probably did. These roses, she said, touching one light pink bloom, are the only thing I did not let Richard's mother choose. She wanted everything white and stiff. I wanted color, something alive. We had a fight about it. I planted these anyway. Good choice, I said. She laughed, a short sound but real. We walked past a small orchard, past a low stone wall that looked like it had been there forever. The sun was high and hot. There was a quiet hum of insects in the grass. It felt like a world far away from highways and hospitals and broken glass. Do you regret it? I asked without thinking. The marriage, I mean. She took a breath. I regret staying as long as I did, she said. I saw who he really was years before he left. I kept telling myself I was staying for Tyler, that he needed his parents together. Really, I was just afraid of starting over. She looked at me. What about you? She asked. Any regrets with Grace? I looked down at the path. I regret not going to the store with her that day, I said. But the rest, no. She was the best thing that ever happened to me. I would do it all again, even knowing how it ends. That is not regret, Doris said softly. That is love. Clouds started to roll in while we walked back toward the house. The bright blue sky faded into gray. The air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. Storm is coming, she said. We get them almost every afternoon this time of year. Big, loud ones. By the time we reached the terrace, wind was pushing at the umbrella. We stepped inside just as the first drops hit. Minutes later, rain was slamming against the glass. Thunder rolled over the hills. Lightning flashed bright enough to light up the whole living room. Doris poured wine into 2 glasses and handed one to me. "I love storms," she said, sitting on the couch facing the floor-to-ceiling windows. "They do not apologize. They just are." Grace hated them, I said, sinking down next to her. She would hide under a blanket and play loud music until it passed. "What else was she like?" Doris asked, so I told her. I told her about Grace's awful singing in the car, about her snow globe collection, about how she would leave sticky notes with bad jokes on my mirror, about the way she stole all the blankets and denied it every time. Doris did not interrupt. She did not try to fix anything. She just listened. "She sounds wonderful," she said when I finally stopped. "I am so sorry you lost her." "What was Richard like at the start?" I asked, "before everything went bad?" She stared at the storm for a moment. "Charming," she said. "Larger than life. He made me feel like I was the only person in every room. Looking back, I think he loved the idea of me more than me. I fit the picture he wanted, and when I no longer fit, he replaced me." "That says everything about him," I said. "And nothing about you." She turned her head and looked at me with wet eyes. "Why are you so easy to talk to?" she asked. "Maybe because we are both broken," I said. "Broken people recognize each other." Thunder shook the windows. Rain streaked down the glass in fast rivers. Inside, it felt warm and still. After a while, she stood and stretched. "I should start dinner," she said. "Are you hungry?" "Not really," I said. My stomach still did not get the concept of food at normal times. "Then come help anyway," she said. "You can chop things badly while I do the real work." In the kitchen, the light was softer. She handed me a cutting board and a pile of vegetables, then showed me how to cut them the right way. I still messed it up. She laughed and fixed my slices. "You and Tyler have been friends." "How long?" she asked. "Since freshman year of college," I said. He was the loud one in the dorm. I was the quiet one who needed earplugs. Somehow it worked. "He called me after the accident," she said. "He was worried. He said you were like a brother to him. He was scared you were going to disappear." I looked down at the cutting board. "I kind of did," I said. "Well," she said, "you are here now." That counts. We moved around each other in the kitchen like we had done it 100 times. She told me stories about Tyler as a kid, how he used to sleep with a plastic T-Rex for years. I told her about my mom burning every meal she tried to make, but still cooking 3 times a day. She opened another bottle of wine. We drank while the chicken roasted. The house felt less like a stranger's place and more like something else. Not home, but not foreign either. "You should go back to that project," she said at one point, wiping her hands on a towel. "Your architecture one." "I don't know if I can," I said. It was something Grace and I talked about. A big step, a future. It hurts to even think about it. "I think she would want you to keep building things," Doris said. "Not because the project matters, but because you matter. Love does not want you to stop living." "You say that like you know," I said. She looked down at the counter. "I know what it feels like when someone makes you feel small," she said. "Real love does the opposite." We ate at the small kitchen table, not the big formal one. I realized I liked her laugh. It started low, and then broke free, like she was not used to letting it out yet. After dinner, we took our wine to the terrace. The storm had passed. The air smelled clean. The sky was dark, full of bright stars. The pool reflected them, a sheet of black glass sprinkled with light. "Do you miss him?" I asked. "Richard?" She thought for a long time. "I miss the version of him I thought was real," she said, "but that man probably never existed. I do not miss the one who left." Quote, "Do you miss Grace every second?" she asked. "Every single one," I said. "It is like missing an arm. You forget for a moment, then you reach for something and remember all over again." Doris reached out and took my hand. She did not say anything. She did not try to give a speech about healing or time. She just held my hand while we looked at the stars. It was not romantic. Not yet. It was something deeper, like 2 people standing at the edge of the same cliff. When it got cold, we went inside. At the bottom of the stairs, she stopped and turned to me. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" I asked. "For talking to me like I am a person," she said. Not a sad story. Not someone to pity, just me. "Thank you for the same," I said. She smiled, that real smile again, then went upstairs. I went to my room and lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. I thought about Grace and the last promise she made me make in that hospital room. I thought about Doris standing by the pool in white, forcing herself to be seen again. I thought about her hand in mine under the stars. For the first time in weeks, the hole inside me did not feel endless. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee again. I found Doris on the terrace, 2 mugs already poured. "I guessed when you'd wake up," she said. I was close. We fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee on the terrace. Walks through the gardens. Talking about little things that slowly turned into big things. We did not name whatever was building between us. We both felt it. We both pretended we did not. On the 3rd day she said, "There is a creek down the hill. Do you want to see it?" Quote. "Sure," I said. The trail was steep and rocky. Leaves covered some of the stones, hiding where it was slick. Halfway down, her foot slid. She let out a short gasp and tilted sideways. I grabbed her without thinking. My hands closed around her waist. Her hands flew to my shoulders. Her body pressed hard against mine for balance. "I've got you," I said. "I know," she whispered. We stayed like that for a few long heartbeats, faces inches apart. I could see the tiny gold flecks in her eyes. I could feel her breath on my cheek. The air between us changed, thick and charged. Then she pulled back a little, cheeks flushed. "Careful," she said. "I am out of practice at not falling." "Any time," I said, my voice lower than I meant. We kept walking to the creek, but everything was different. The space between us buzzed with something new. That evening, as the sun went down and the pool lights came on, Doris found me on the terrace again. She handed me a glass of whiskey. "Tyler called," she said, sitting next to me. "He is staying in the city longer than he thought. Investor meetings. He will not be back for at least a week." I looked at her. "Do you want me to leave?" I asked. Doris turned her head and met my eyes. The pool lights reflected in them. "I want you to stay," she said, "if you want to." "Why?" I asked before I could stop myself. She took a breath. "Because I have not felt this much like myself in a very long time," she said. "And that scares me." My heart beat harder in my chest. "It scares me too," I said. She held my gaze, and I knew in that moment that whatever was between us was no longer something we could pretend not to see. If she had not said 5 small words by the pool, I might have kept pretending nothing was happening between us. "I want to kiss you, Ethan." It started as a normal day, if you can call any of this normal. The sky was clear. The hills were sharp against the blue. The infinity pool looked like a sheet of glass hanging off the edge of the world. Doris wore the same white swimsuit from the first day, but this time it felt different. There was no test in it, no fear. She moved with more ease, like she was slowly stepping back into her own skin. I tried to burn off my thoughts by swimming laps, back and forth until my arms ached. When I finally climbed out of the pool, water running down my shoulders, she was watching me over the top of a book she was not really reading. "What?" I asked, breathing hard, grabbing a towel. "Nothing," she said, closing the book. "Just thinking about how weird life is." "Weird how?" She set the book on the table. "3 weeks ago, I was sitting out here alone," she said. Staring at this pool, wondering if this house was going to end up being the place I got stuck in forever. Just me and memories and old arguments in my head. She looked at me. "And now you're here," she said, "and I feel too much." "Is that bad?" I asked. "I don't know yet," she said honestly. "It is terrifying." I sat on the edge of the lounge chair by her feet. Water dripped from my hair onto the hot stone deck. "What scares you more?" I asked. "Feeling nothing or feeling too much?" Quote. She took a long breath. "Feeling everything," she said. "Because when I did that last time, I got crushed." She reached out and rested her fingertips against the back of my hand. "You make me laugh again," she said quietly. "You look at me like I am a woman, not just someone's ex-wife or someone's mother." I forgot what that felt like. "That is because you are a woman," I said, "and you deserve to be seen." She held my gaze, eyes searching my face like she was looking for a lie. "Ethan," she said, her voice softer than I had ever heard it, "I want to kiss you." My heart slammed so hard I could feel it in my throat. "I want that too," I said. She moved first. Slow, like she was giving herself time to change her mind. Her hand slid up from my wrist to my shoulder. I leaned in and met her halfway. The first touch of her mouth was soft and careful. I could feel her hesitation, her fear, her hope. I did not rush it. I let her set the pace. When she pressed a little closer, I lifted my hand to her face, fingers resting against her jaw, and kissed her back. My whole body lit up. The house, the pool, the hills, the past. Everything dropped away. It was just the warmth of her lips and the way her breath hitched when I deepened the kiss. How her fingers tightened on my shoulder like she did not want to let go. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing harder than before. She kept her forehead against mine. "I have not kissed anyone since Richard left," she said. I thought I was done with that part of my life. "How does it feel?" I asked. "Dangerous," she said, "and right." Somehow both. We spent the rest of the afternoon drifting between talking and quiet. Sometimes our hands found each other without thinking. Sometimes she would lean over and steal a quick kiss like she was testing the idea that this was really allowed. Inside, while we made dinner, it felt like we had slid into some alternate version of reality where things were simple. She rolled out pasta dough on the counter and showed me how to cut it into strips. I messed it up again. She laughed and wiped flour on my nose. I wiped some back on hers. It was stupid and small and perfect. "What are you thinking?" she asked later, when the pasta was boiling and the sauce simmered on the stove. "I am thinking I like this," I said. "You, this kitchen, this stupid flour. You know this is complicated," she said, serious again. "I am older. I come with a lot of history, a lot of mess, and you are Tyler's best friend." "I know," I said. "I still like this." We ate at the little table again, knees bumping. After dinner, we took our wine outside. The sky was clear, thick with stars. The pool reflected them back at us. "Tell me about your marriage," I said. "Not the short version. The real one." She was quiet for a long time. "We met at a charity event," she said finally. "He walked in like he owned the room. Everyone looked at him. I was 25 and tired of feeling invisible. When he picked me out of the crowd and focused all that attention on me, I was gone." She took a sip of wine. "The first years were good," she said. Or I told myself they were. Nice trips, nice clothes, nice parties. Then Tyler was born, and I became the one who stayed home and made sure his life stayed shiny. Quote, she stared out at the hills. "I thought if I kept everything perfect, he would keep choosing me," she said. "But you cannot decorate your way into being loved." "That is not on you," I said. "That is on him." She looked at me like she was trying to decide if she believed me. "Do you really see me that way?" she asked. "Or am I just someone who was here when you were falling apart?" The question hit hard because I had asked myself the same thing in the dark, lying awake at night. I set my glass down and turned fully toward her. When Grace was in the hospital, I said, "She made me promise something." She squeezed my hand and said, "Do not become a ghost. Do not stop living. Find someone who makes you feel alive again." I told her she was crazy. I told her I would never want anyone else. My voice shook, but I kept going. "I did not think I could ever keep that promise," I said. "Then I came here, and you looked at me on that first day and said, 'I see you,' and something woke up. Not in spite of you being older or complicated. Because you understand what pain feels like." Quote. I swallowed. "This is not about you being here when I am sad," I said. "This is about you, who you are, how you listen, how you fight for yourself even when you are scared. I see you too, Doris." Tears slid down her cheeks. She laughed once, shaky. "When did you become brave?" she asked. "Probably about 30 seconds ago," I said. She put her glass down and cupped my face in both hands. This kiss was not careful. It was hungry and searching, like she was trying to write a new story over all the old ones. I pulled her closer, feeling her fingers slide into my hair. When we finally stopped, she rested her head against my chest. "Stay with me tonight," she said quietly. "Not like that. Just hold me. I want to remember what it feels like to be held by someone who actually sees me." "Okay," I said. "I can do that." We went upstairs together to her room. The bed was big, covered in soft blankets and more pillows than anyone needs. We lay on top of the covers, both fully dressed. She turned onto her side, and I wrapped my arm around her. Her back fit against my chest like we had done this 1,000 times. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" I asked. "For not rushing me," she said. "For not making this about what you want." "There is nowhere else I want to be," I said. Her breathing slowly evened out. I listened to the rain of her breath, the quiet of the room, the far-off sound of crickets outside. For the first time since the accident, I fell asleep without seeing headlights and shattered glass when I closed my eyes. Morning came with voices. Sharp, tense voices. I woke to an empty bed and the sound of someone arguing downstairs. One of the voices was Doris, tight and hard in a way I had not heard before. The other was a man's voice, smooth and cold. I checked my phone. It was barely 7. I pulled on my shirt and stepped into the hallway. As I moved toward the stairs, the man's voice floated up. "Doris, you are being dramatic," he said. "We need to talk properly, face to face." My stomach dropped. I did not have to see him to know who he was. Richard. I stopped halfway down the stairs when I saw him. Tall, expensive suit, perfect hair. The kind of man who looked like he thought the whole world should move out of his way. He stood in the foyer like he still owned the house, not like someone who had walked out on it. Doris stood across from him with her arms crossed, jaw tight. "You cannot just show up here," she said. "I came to discuss the property settlement," he answered. His voice was smooth, too smooth. "Your lawyer has been unreasonable." "My lawyer has been doing her job," Doris said. "You should try that sometime." He was about to answer when his gaze slid past her and landed on me, standing on the stairs in yesterday's shirt. Something ugly flickered in his eyes. "And who is this?" he asked. Doris closed her eyes for a second, like she was bracing for impact. Then she turned and saw me. "This is Ethan," she said. "He is a friend of Tyler's. He is staying in the guest room." "A friend," Richard repeated. The words sounded like an insult in his mouth. I walked the rest of the way down the stairs. "Tyler invited me," I said. "He had to go back to the city. He said I could stay." "How generous of my son," Richard said. His eyes swept over me quickly, sizing me up, then dismissing me. "Tell me, does Tyler know his friend is staying here alone with his mother?" "That is enough," Doris snapped. "Do not start." "Oh, I am not starting anything," he said. "Just asking questions." I stepped closer. "She already told you why you are here," I said. "Talk about the settlement or leave." He turned to me slowly. "This is between me and my wife," he said. "Ex-wife," Doris corrected. He ignored her. "You have no idea what you are stepping into," he said to me. "She is damaged goods, high maintenance. She will pull you into her drama, and you will spend years trying to fix something you cannot fix." My hands curled into fists at my sides. "You need to leave," I said. "Or what?" he asked, a cold smile on his face. Before I could answer, Doris grabbed his arm and pushed him toward the door. "Get out," she said. Her voice shook, but her grip did not. "If you want to talk about money, call my lawyer. You do not get to walk in here and insult me in my own home." He pulled his arm free. For a second, the polished mask dropped and I saw the anger underneath. "You are making a mistake," he said. "You really think some young guy is going to stick around when he realizes how much baggage you come with? Look at you, Doris. You are 42. This is as good as it gets." She flinched, and that made something snap in me. "Enough," I said. "You heard her. Leave." Richard looked between us, eyes sharp and cold. Then he opened the door, stepped outside, and slammed it behind him. A moment later, his car engine roared. Tires threw gravel as he sped down the driveway. The house went quiet. Doris stood there staring at the closed door, her whole body trembling. I stepped toward her. "Doris," I said gently, "are you okay?" She took a step back like my voice burned. "Do not," she said. "Do not touch me." That hit harder than anything, Richard said. He does not get to talk to you like that, I said. He does not get to walk in here and make you feel small. This is my life, she said. Her voice was flat and tired. Court dates, lawyers, surprise visits, men who think they own me. You saw it for less than 30 minutes and already look like you want to punch a wall. I live with it. We can deal with him, I said. You do not have to do it alone. You should pack your things, she said. The words knocked the air out of me. What? I asked. You should go, she repeated. This was a mistake. Because he showed up? I asked. Because he threw a tantrum and said cruel things. That is exactly why you should not be alone. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she said. Her eyes were shiny, her shoulders stiff. You and me, whatever this is, it comes with fallout. Tyler, Richard, people talking. It will blow your life up, and I cannot be the reason for that. You are not blowing my life up, I said. You are the first good thing that has happened to me since the worst day of my life. And I am also your best friend's mother, she said, 11 years older. Divorced, with an ex who clearly does not want to let go. You think that will not matter in the long run. I do not care, I said. I care about how you make me feel. I care that when I am with you, I do not feel like a ghost. You should care, she snapped. You are grieving. You are vulnerable. I am vulnerable. This is how people get hurt. We can choose not to hurt each other, I said. She shook her head. You cannot promise that, she said. No one can. I barely survived the last time I trusted someone with my whole heart. I cannot risk doing that again with someone who could wake up one day and decide this is all too much. I am not Richard, I said. My voice came out harder than I meant. I am not going to wake up and decide you are not worth the trouble. Tears spilled down her cheeks. It does not matter, she said. I am hanging on by a thread as it is. If this ends badly, I will not come back from it. So please, Ethan, just go before we make this even harder. Silence filled the room. My chest hurt. My head pounded. Part of me wanted to grab my bag and slam the door the way Richard had, just to feel like I still had control. Instead, I swallowed and nodded. If you really want me to go, I said, I will go, but I need you to understand something. She looked at me, eyes red and shattered. This is not because I do not care, I said. I am walking away because you are asking me to, but I want more than anything to stay, to fight for you. She pressed her lips together. A tear slid down her chin. I know, she whispered. I went upstairs and threw my clothes into my bag with shaking hands. Every step down the staircase felt heavier. In the foyer, she stood by the table, arms wrapped around herself. Thank you for letting me stay, I said, for everything, for seeing me. She nodded, but did not trust herself to speak. I opened the door, stepped out into the bright morning, and walked away from the house. As I reached my car, I looked back once. She stood at the big window by the staircase, watching me leave. That image stayed burned into my mind for days. 2 weeks passed. Tyler called twice, checking in, asking what happened. I said there had been tension with Richard and that I needed to get back to work. I did not mention his mother's hand in mine under the stars. I did not tell him about the way she had fallen asleep with her back against my chest. I went back to the architecture project. I worked 16-hour days, drawing lines and shapes and pretending they were just lines and shapes, not pieces of a future Grace and I had planned. I did everything I could to outrun the ache in my chest. It did not work. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Doris at the edge of the pool in white. Doris laughing in the kitchen with flour on her nose. Doris looking at me like she was scared and hopeful at the same time. On day 15, someone knocked on my apartment door. I opened it, expecting a delivery driver. It was Margaret, the estate manager from the house. You look awful, she said, brushing past me into the apartment like she owned it. Good to see you too, I said. How did you find me? Tyler, she said, sitting on my couch. He is worried. Said you have been off. I told him I would check on you. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. How is Doris? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Like a ghost, Margaret said. She barely leaves her room. stares at that pool like it swallowed something important, eats like she is trying to stay alive and nothing more. She told me to leave, I said this was a mistake. Of course she did, Margaret said. That woman has been torn down for years. Her husband made sure she believes she is hard to love. When someone actually sees her, really sees her, she panics. She made her choice, I said. Margaret stood up and looked at me like she was measuring my spine. Do you think love is for people who never panic? She asked. You think broken people do not say things they do not mean when they are scared? I did not answer. I have known Doris for 10 years, Margaret said. I have seen her hold this house together while her marriage fell apart. I have seen her cry alone in the pantry so Tyler would not hear. I have never seen her look at anyone the way she looked at you. She pushed me away, I said. So push back, Margaret said. Show her you are not like him. Show her you do not run the first time things get ugly. She moved toward the door, then turned. Love is not about finding someone perfect, she said. It is about standing beside someone while they put themselves back together. Are you brave enough for that, or are you going to let fear make your choices for you? She left without waiting for an answer. I stood in my quiet apartment, heart pounding. I thought about Grace in that hospital bed, her hand squeezing mine, making me promise not to become a ghost. I thought about Doris standing by the infinity pool, telling herself she was done being ashamed. I thought about broken people finding each other in the middle of wreckage. Then I grabbed my keys. The drive back to the estate felt shorter this time. When I turned onto the long tree-lined road, my chest felt tight. The house rose up out of the hills like it always had. The pool glittered in the late afternoon light. Doris sat at the edge of the infinity pool, feet in the water, wearing the white swimsuit. Her shoulders were slumped. She stared out at the valley like she was waiting for it to answer a question. I walked down the stone steps to the pool deck. She did not turn, but I saw her shoulders tense. She knew it was me. I told you to leave, she said softly. I did, I said. Now I am back. Why? She asked. I sat down beside her. Our shoulders brushed. The water rippled around our ankles. Because I am not Richard, I said. I am not going to disappear when things get painful. I am not going to make you feel small so I can feel big. I am not going to run because loving you might be hard sometimes. Her breath hitched. What if I hurt you? She whispered. What if I am too broken for this? What if I do not know how to do this right? Then we will figure it out, I said, together. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to take a chance on something real. She stared down at the water. Tyler is your best friend, she said. I am older. I have an ex-husband who shows up like a hurricane. Every part of this is messy. I will talk to Tyler, I said. He wants us both to be happy. And as for your age, I do not care. You are you. That is what matters. As for Richard, we will handle him together if he shows up again. She let out a shaky laugh through her tears. You have an answer for everything, she said. Just for the important parts, I said. I lost someone I loved. It taught me life is too short to let fear decide everything. I turned toward her. When I am with you, I feel alive, I said. Grace asked me to find that again. Please do not ask me to walk away from it. She was quiet for a long time. The sky turned gold. The water at our feet glowed with the color of it. I am terrified, she said at last. Me too, I said. But what if it works? What if this is exactly what we both need? She looked up at me. In her eyes, I saw the walls, but I also saw cracks in them, light pushing through. Okay, she whispered. We try. Slow. You have to promise you will be patient with me. I promise, I said. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I wrapped my arm around her and pulled her close. We sat like that while the sun went down and the first stars appeared, our legs in the cool water, our hearts finally facing in the same direction. Thank you for coming back, she said. Thank you for letting me, I answered. 6 months later, I stood by the same infinity pool in a suit that felt a little too tight, watching Doris walk toward me in a flowing white dress. Tyler had thrown her an engagement party. There were lights strung over the water, music playing, people laughing. Tyler pulled me aside before the speeches. You know, when Margaret told me what was going on, I freaked out, he said. Then I thought about it. You are the one guy, the first trust with everything. Mom needed someone who would not run. You needed someone who understood what you went through. It makes sense. We are good? I asked. He hugged me hard. We are more than good, he said. Just do not hurt her, or I will kill you. Deal, I said. Later, as the night settled in and the guests drifted away from the edge, I found Doris standing at the pool, looking out at the valley. I slipped my arms around her waist from behind. Try not to stare, she said, smiling. Still impossible, I said. She turned, eyes bright with happy tears. I love you, she said. I love you too, I answered. We had both been broken. We had both lost pieces of ourselves we thought were gone for good. But standing there by the infinity pool where I first saw her, I understood something simple and true. Sometimes the worst day of your life is the doorway to something you never imagined. Sometimes you have to lose everything you thought you were going to get to find what you actually needed. Grace had asked me not to become a ghost. I had kept that promise. I had found someone who saw me, who knew my scars, and chose me anyway. And Doris had stepped back into the light and decided she was worth loving. Together, we were building something new. Not perfect, not easy, but real. A second chance, a new beginning, a love worth staying for.